Championship playoffs are about to go underway, and honestly, I am so excited. You know me, I am obsessed with the Championship, and I'm going to preface this video straight away by saying I'm a West Brom fan, so I do have a slight bias in this, but I'm going to be doing my predictions for the semi-final and then leading on to the final. We'll come back to this after the semi-final and then give you my thoughts and give you a bit of analysis and then give you my final prediction. But we're going to start off with the first game, which will be on the Thursday night. We have got Norwich City versus Leicester. Now, this for me is a huge game. This is really intriguing. There's so many levels to this and so many different parts that I find really intriguing. But Norwich City versus Leeds is a massive game, and you look at both sides, and both sides' form hasn't been ideal, but I do think Norwich have kind of dipped at this worst time possible. They kind of haven't won now in 4 games, drawing 3 and losing 1, and that performance against Birmingham City just really wasn't good enough. And the thing is, they could have finished in 5th place. It was in their hands. Really, Norwich City should have finished 5th, and I do think that's going to be a big part to play going up against Leeds. And now, obviously, with Leeds, you've got the whole kind of narrative with the fact that they've always struggled in the playoffs. They've now been in the playoffs 5 times and have yet to win the playoffs once. They're yet to win the playoffs at all, which I think is a really damning stat. And you kind of cast your mind back to the whole Spygate situation with Lampard and Derby, and you remember all of that. And I think those kind of things, they do have a part to play, because that gets pushed by the media, and you can't help but have that back in the back of your mind subconsciously. You hear so many people talking about it. The media are already pushing it. I'm talking about everyone's talking about it. So there's a lot of pressure on Leeds here, because really Leeds are going into this game as the favourite. But then you look at Norwich. Norwich City have been there. Norwich City have done it. Like, we have seen them go through this. You've known them, not maybe in recent years, but they have been a bit of a yo-yo side. So kind of they've been there, they've done it, they know exactly what to expect, and I think that's going to have a big part to play. And obviously the pressure being on Leeds, and I think they're going to be going into this season, really, I think they were expecting to finish in the top 2. They really should have finished in the top 2, and at times it looked like they were nailed on towards the end of the season, with the two sides in Ipswich and Leicester both not looking like they wanted to get promoted. That is a big thing for me, and I think that's a real struggle. Leeds really should have got up, especially with that team. When you kind of go through the players that they've got, when you look at the likes of Ampadu, when you look at Somerville, the pressure is on them, but I do think they are going to get past this Norwich side, and I think form will kind of carry on through. And I know Leeds dipped at the wrong time possible, winning only 1 in their last 4 games, but I think their squad is too strong. Their squad is too good, and you've seen how defensively strong they've been so far in 2024. Don't get me wrong, Norwich have really had great form coming in this 2024, but overall I think Leeds will win this game, and I think we'll get through to the final. Now we'll push on to my team versus Southampton. Now this is a really interesting affair, because Southampton have done the double over West Bromwich Albion this season. Southampton have looked really strong at times, but the problem for me is they concede way too many goals. You look at the Southampton side, they have conceded 63 goals. Bearing in mind, West Brom have only conceded 47 goals. So it just shows you they are too open, and that's the problem when they played the style that they have done throughout the season. We've seen them concede so many goals in so many situations where you just think, what on earth are you doing? I understand the kind of philosophy that Russell Martin's trying to play, passing out from the back. Yes, it's exciting, but sometimes you look at it and think, is the squad right to be doing it? I'm not entirely sure, and at moments it's car crash. It's really difficult, and going into a game like this, to knockout games like the playoffs, I'm not sure whether these kind of styles of play are brilliant, because it puts too much pressure on. You're kind of relying on that style of play, and I just think it's too open to be playing in a knockout game like this, especially against a manager like Carlos Corberán. Now, Carlos Corberán for me is one of the most underrated managers in the Championship. We kind of look at him as a whole season. He's finished 5th with the Albion squad. He has spent no money whatsoever since he's been appointed. And you kind of look at how Steve Bruce kind of did with this side. He's kind of completely revolutionised his team. And to get to 5th has been absolutely unreal. Southampton and West Brom have kind of been those 2 sides that have just been 4th and 5th throughout the entire season. I can't remember a time when they weren't there. Southampton had their chance to kind of get that promotion, get the automatics at one point, and they just thought, nah, we don't fancy it. But again, a side that have dipped in form at the worst time, but both West Brom and Southampton have had really convincing performances in the last game. Southampton obviously getting that vital win that they did. I know it didn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but that momentum does help, and the same with West Brom beating Preston. So this is a really interesting one, but because of the styles of play, and I think that plays into this, because of the openness, I think Corberán and with the West Brom side will just kind of sit back, soak up pressure like they have done in big games, and beat them across the 2 games. I think the manager has just got that is a bit more tactically astute when you kind of compare to Southampton, and I think the style of play is going to really hurt them in this kind of knockout stage. And so I believe it'll be West Brom versus Leeds in the final. And again, in one match, we've seen West Brom have really performed well against Leeds this season. West Brom beating Leeds earlier on in the season. They were the first side to beat them in 2024 when they're on that crazy run. And I think West Brom will do it. I think Carlos Corberán, I think we've got to remember, look back at his time. He got Huddersfield to a playoff final. If it wasn't for VAR against Nottingham Forest, they'd have made it. I just think Carlos Corberán is an unreal manager, underrated. And to be honest, I'm surprised no Premier League club has come sniffing around for him. I'm really surprised that no one's come in for him. He should be linked with the likes of your West Hams, your Nottingham Forest at the time. Like, I'm surprised that no one's gone in for him. He's an absolutely unreal, underrated manager, and I think he will get West Bromwich Albion promoted. Yes, I think my team, the Baggies, will get promoted, and a lot of people say, oh, Sam, you're being biased. I genuinely believe it. I look at it as a whole season. I think in the big games when it's mattered, Corberán has shown he's tactically aware and he can change the systems, and that's where I think it's massive in these kind of games, because I think with the playoffs and moments like this, because it's one-off games, you've got to look at the manager, and I think Carlos Corberán, out of the 4 managers, is probably the best in my opinion, and because he when he plays with this West Brom side, we've played 3 at the back, we played 4 at the back. He kind of changes the system constantly, so I think that's going to be a massive part to play, especially against Southampton. We'll kind of manipulate and move the systems around, kind of be really kind of sat back in deep and kind of soak up that pressure, and then same again with Leeds, and then hit them on the counter, because we've got some really effective players. But even I say that, when we played Leeds last time, we bullied them, and that was the thing. It was, we didn't respect them. We didn't allow them out their own half and get those kind of players like Ampadu on the ball. We didn't allow it, and Archie Gray and players like that. So I do think it's going to be a massive part to play. I think it's going to be really exciting. Hopefully everyone else will let me know in the comments, so I'm going to run you through it again. So I think in the first game, Leeds and Norwich, I think Leeds will go through, and in the second game, West Brom versus Southampton, I think West Brom will win, and then in the final, West Brom versus Leeds, I think Carlos Corberán will get West Bromwich Albion the win, and they will be back to the Premier League, meaning that we'll have Ipswich, Leicester and West Brom in the Premier League next season. As I said, let me know down in the comment section below. Please do like this video and do subscribe. There's going to be so much more content coming soon. I've got some big announcements coming to the channel, but daily uploads are coming back. I've told you they're coming, but I can promise you now, hopefully you've enjoyed this, and hopefully you have a great week. We'll come back to this. Whether we'll laugh, who knows? I hope not, but that is my prediction. Thank you. Goodbye.